Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of TCG Talk, back today with another video. In today's video, we're going to go over the card Even Bigger Than That. Now, Even Bigger Than That is a great card. It's a card that's fundamentally changed the gas that Katsu can possibly have. And honestly, without this card, in my opinion, Katsu would have a hard time staying in the meta even relevantly right now. Just my opinion. It's the best card that Katsu got, and it's not even a ninja card. It's pretty nuts. But today, I wanted to go over kind of the play lines of Even Bigger Than That, some mistakes I'm thinking some early Katsus might be making, and things that I just want to make sure that everybody is understanding about the card itself. So just in case someone hasn't seen the card or you're new to the game, basically what Even Bigger Than That does is when you play it, it's an instant. When you play it, you only can play it if you've dealt physical damage this turn, right? So a Kadachi, for instance. At red, you can opt 3. At yellow, you can opt 2. And at blue, you can opt 1. Opt 1 card off top of your deck. You pick what order you want them in on the top or bottom of your deck. And then you reveal the top card of your deck. If that top card is greater than the base power that you've... if that card's base power is greater than the amount of damage you've dealt this turn, then you get to draw it and create a Quicken token. And it's just really good. So the reason this card is so good in Katsu is because if you attack with a Kadachi, it hits for 1. Or you attack, they block the first one, it hits, and it's for 1, and then you play Even Bigger Than That, you've only dealt 1 damage. So the likelihood of you being able to draw a card that has done greater than 1 damage in a Katsu deck is extremely high. I think I've whiffed 1 time on Even Bigger Than That, and it was a yellow one. So out of the, I don't know, 50, 100 times I've played it. So I want to go over like what the card is, what you see people committing comments and mistakes you see some players making on the card. And then we'll go from there. So I'll get a blue out. So let's say you pitch a blue, right? And you play Kadachi and they let it hit. What I'm seeing a lot of new players do, and it's a big mistake, is they're playing Even Bigger Than That after the first Kadachi because you really want to play that card. It's a really exciting card to play, so you can opt 3, do all your shenanigans, right? What I would tell you to do, first mistake that you see a lot of people making, is don't play it after the first Kadachi, right? In Katsu, when you play that second Kadachi, more times than not, unless they're just nutty, they're going to block that second Kadachi, right? Because they don't want you to possibly get Mass Trigger. That's when you want to play Even Bigger Than That. Because what it's going to do is you're going to draw a card, and then they've already committed a card from hand. Now you're going to come in with an attack with Go again, no matter what the card is, and they've already committed a card from hand. So, one, they probably don't want to block again because they just blocked. Now they're going to have to block another card. Like if you put a Torrent of Tempo down for 5 right here with automatic Go again from the Quicken token, they just committed a card from hand for the Kadachi. Now it really sucks for them to block 5 more again, right? Because you're not presenting Mass Trigger. So if you play it after the second Kadachi, more times than not, you're going to get this card off. It's going to hit, which is really useful for certain cards, and I'll show you why. However, if you play it after the first Kadachi, and then you attack, no matter what your attack is, unless it's an Enlightened Strike for 7 with Go again, they're probably going to block the card, which then shuts off your Mass Trigger. It shuts off your ability to Katsu trigger, and it just doesn't help your hand. So if you can help it at all costs, and if the first Kadachi is hit, wait until you play Even Bigger Than That till after your second Kadachi, okay? I know you'll have 1 less resource, and that's not fun, right? Because there's one line in here that I wanted to show that I really enjoy playing, that others may not be playing, that you kind of want that 1 extra resource, but I would rather pitch the 1 resource or use a Tunic resource in order to get that line off. So let me search for 1 card here real fast, y'all. I apologize. I didn't have it in the stack of cards that I'm going to be showing. But yeah, Even Bigger Than That's a fantastic card. It's a card I highly recommend for anybody trying to play Katsu, unless you're playing like a super, super, super defensive Katsu. You know, it's not exactly a card that, it's a card that's kind of a necessity, right? So now I'm going to go over the top targets that you want with Even Bigger Than That. And then we'll go into red Even Bigger Than That's versus yellow Even Bigger Than That's and the pluses of both. I have both in my deck. I have 3 reds, 2 yellows, but it really depends on you. So the top targets for Even Bigger Than That, it all depends on really what boots you're running. I run Breeze Rider boots, so like my top target's a little bit different, but we'll go as in if you're running Snapdragon Scalers, which is at first at least, which is the main boots that most people run, right? So if you're running a Snaps build, the number 1 target I want to see personally is Enlightened Strike, no matter what, even over Snatch. Snatch is a close second, right? But overall, it's Enlightened Strike. What Enlightened Strike allows you to do with this Quicken token is allows you to have 2 options. You can either just, if you have a really good hand and you want to keep it, and you don't really want to cycle, you can choose the +2 option for Enlightened Strike and do 7 with Go again, which is just nutty, right? It's a 0 cost. You just sink 1 card, 0 cost for 7. with Go Again, just really disgusting. Or you can choose the draw card feature, which is what most people will choose, and you replace it, basically, right? Because since it has Go Again, and since you're choosing the draw card feature, you're basically almost like a sync blowing, like you're just flipping, you're cycling out a card, but keeping your Go Again. That's what I normally do, is the draw card feature. But so Enlightened Strike's definitely number one. It's the first one I would choose when it comes to targets. The second one is Snatch. If you're running a Snapdragon build, obviously, this is amazing if you have a Razor. If you play up second Gadachi and you let it, they try to block it out and you razor it, or they just let it hit because it is a 4 with Go Again, but it's threatening draw card. They're basically forced to block this card. But what sucks for them is if they didn't let this hit and then they block this out as well, now they've committed like 3 cards from hand essentially, or a card in a defense reaction, or a card in a equipment or something like that, in order to block 2 straight attacks, which sucks for them. And you're still going to be able to attack anyway. So Snaps is definitely the second one if you're running a Snaps build. It's one I highly suggest. For a Snaps build, the rest of them really don't matter. These are the 2 that you're looking for the most in the Snaps build, so it's really just personal preference at this point. So I'm going to switch back to the Breeze Rider Boots build, because these cards will also work in a Snap build as well. So I don't run Snatch in my Breeze Rider Boots. People are going to think I'm crazy, but I do run Lightning Strike. So Lightning Strike's still my number one option with this. But the rest of them that I really enjoy playing, I like Whelming Gust Wave. These are in no particular order. I like Whelming Gust Wave because Whelming Gust Wave for 3 with Go Again is really nice, because it allows you to possibly go get McGinty if they let it hit. So they're almost, if they block this card out, they're, again, similar to Snatch, especially if it's late in the game, they're almost forced to block this out because you're going to go get McGinty. So if you have a Razor with this, or Breaking Skills and Ancestral Empowerment together, it's just really good for that. So Whelming Gust Wave is a really good target. Another good target I personally like is Torrent of Tempo. I like having the 5 with Unconditional Go Again. It's really nice, especially if you're running the Rushing River into Break Tide line. And this is where my Breeze Rider Boots build is just disgusting in my opinion, because if Torrent Tempo hits, which it's probably going to, since they just blocked this, they're not going to block another 5 cost. 9 times out of 10 they let this hit. I pop Breeze Rider Boots if I have one of these cards in hand, and then I play Rushing, or I go get the other card, then I play Rushing River for 4 Go Again, then I play Break Tide for 5 Dominate Go Again. So it's just pretty nutty. I've done that several times with this build. It's just disgusting. So that's a Torrent Tempo is a really good card to be using as well. And similar on the same line, Rushing River is really good to be using. It's a 3 with Go Again. If you have Breaking Skills, Ancestral Empowerment, or Razor to make sure it hits, it's a little bit easier to block, but you can definitely get it to hit in most situations. And then I like going and getting Break Tide and playing it for 5 Dominate. If I have a card in hand, or maybe even, a card in hand, which most of the time I've used 3 cards here. I mean, you're going to have a card in hand, card in arsenal, or just a card in hand. If I have a card in hand and a card in arsenal, then like I am definitely popping Breeze Rider Boots and then going and getting Break Tide, and then still having 2 cards in hand, possibly 1 card in Banish, right? And can keep playing out the line. So Rushing River is really good overall, just because it goes with the Break Tide line. So I like having the Torrent line in my hand. I like having Whelming Gust Wave in my hand, and I like having a Lightning Strike in my hand. The last one that I enjoy, and this is a little weird because not every Katsu runs this, but I have seen a couple of top 8 Katsus running it, and I still think it's a great card, is Open the Center. I run the Head Jab line. I run 1 Open the Center in my deck because it's just amazing to get it to hit 1 time, 6 Dominate, and then they get really scared about Head Jabs, and then the rest of the game they're blocking out my Head Jabs when I don't have any more Open the Center, so it's just kind of like a bluff. But this one's super nice because especially if I have a Tunic resource, I can use my 1 and then take off Tunic to play Open the Center. And then it's 5 Go Again. Most time they're not going to block it because it's 5 Go Again. They just blocked the card. And what I'll typically do, which since I'm such a great player, I don't have it out right now. I took out Pounding Gales out of my deck. I just didn't like the 1 for 5 with what I had. But I like, if they let this hit, I'll go get Fluster Fist. And again, similar to this, I'll probably pop Breeze Rider Boots on this because Flush Fist will now be 4, 5, 6 with Go Again. It's a 0 for 6 for Go Again. And then you honestly will still have 1 card in hand. Or if you just want to do a 0 for 6, no Go Again is really nice as well. I like doing it because I'm a threaten mass trigger on the next turn on the next card, so it could be really good for that. But I like running Open the Center as well on this line because it's super nice with that. So those are my top targets, honestly. Flush Fist also is a decent target. Just a 0 for 4 Go Again is really nice. But these, kind of are the main ones that I would be running. Sorry, I'm all over the place. I'm trying to do this as organized as humanly possible. But yeah, so that's the tips with even bigger than that. Personally, again, just to kind of recap, like my top target's always going to be E-Strike. If you're running a Snapdragon's build, which a lot of people do, obviously, Snatch is really good. And then basically any one of these cards works really well for you to be able to run, right? So that's what I'm looking at for Breeze Rider boots. Not Breeze Rider boots, for even bigger than that. It's just a really good card to have, and you know, it's essential to the deck. So the last two things I wanted to go over for you really quick, so this video is not too long, is one is yellow versus red, even bigger than that. And I'll tell you which was better. One, I would run both. Personally, if you're running any aggro or even mid-rangey build, you should have 5 to 6 in the deck. I have 5. Some people run 6, which honestly is just as good too. The reason I like, and let me shuffle my deck because I'm going to show this throughout my deck, right, is so if you play a red even bigger than that, the reason I like reds over yellows 100% of the time is because you're opting 3, right? So the obvious thing is less chance of a whiff, right? So actually this is a near perfect reason on why I like reds. Let's say you draw into this off of even bigger than that, which is obviously horrible. I only run 15 blues in my deck, and then I play even bigger than that, and I draw 2 blues, and one of them is a 1 power, 100 wins, which I've thought about taking out just for this very reason, and one's a Lord of Win. If it would have been a yellow, I still would have had this, right? I still would have gotten Lord of Win, and it still would have been fine, which now you can draw Lord of Win, then basically pitch Lord of Win or use it for discard for Katsu. You're not going to really play that card. But what this allows me to do is like, oh, crap. Well, you know what? I'm going to have 2 blues next hand. That sucks. So let's go ahead and draw Lord of Wind and then, you know, have these 2 for next hand. Or like if this was a Razor Reflex, right? Let's say this wasn't even bigger than that. It's a Razor Reflex. You know, I may want to keep this hand, but there's some times where I've drawn like 2 blues in Ancestral Empowerment, and I've literally sunk the Ancestral Empowerment or sunk a card because I knew my next hand was going to suck. What this also allows you to do is fix your next hand, right? Fix your next draw. So if I would have only drawn these, I would have basically had to put the even bigger than that probably on top because you don't want to sink that card. But now that I have this, I don't want to draw into it even bigger than that off Mash Trigger. So really what I'm probably going to do is put 100 wins on top just so I draw into something that's a little bit better off Mash Trigger, and then put on top Reveal the Lord of Wind. So it allows you to fix your next hand, allows you to fix your Mash draw, and things of that nature, whereas yellow doesn't allow you to do that. However, yellow is still a very great card, and it's something that I highly suggest. But that 3, that is so funny that that's how that just happened. Basically shows like why red can be really good, because it allows you to fix your next hand and fix your Mash draws, if that makes sense. So something to keep in mind as you're going through that, and how to play those play lines. Again, red's really good, yellow's really good, but it just depends on what, you know, on what you value most, and honestly what your build is. But the card is straight gas, and it allows you to do a lot of different things with it, right? I've said before that even bigger than that's really a reason that Breeze Rider Boots is now more viable, because I'm giving so many cards go again through Razor Reflexes, through even bigger than that. Like with my even bigger than that to my Razor Reflexes, I have 8 cards that give cards go again, and then I have 12 combo stars. So now I have 20 cards in my deck that either have go again or give a card go again. So now why would I not try to give the cards that don't have go again? You know what I mean? If that makes any sense at all. Hopefully this video made sense. I thought there was one more thing I was supposed to go over, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm not just going to sit here all weird like and try to remember it. But yeah, that's the baseline of it. Just, you know, try to avoid some of the simple mistakes that people are making with even bigger than that. It just depends. Oh, the last thing I want to go over really quick, and this is when you're playing against a Katsu player. This isn't always the case, but if they pitch a red, especially a red attack action, maybe it's a combo, because pitching a head jab would just be horrible, right? So if they pitch a red attack action that is, let's say, is combo, like a Rushing River or something, and play a Kadachi, more times than not, they have an even bigger than that in hand without a blue. Because they can't play the even bigger than that, right? They don't want to pitch it because it's a great card. You know, it doesn't always mean that, but if you see a ninja pitch a red 0-cost combo card, or red 0-cost anything, to play a Kadachi, they likely have an even bigger than that in hand. They're trying to get it off. That's just my opinion. But that's the one tidbit against Katsu players, which is funny that I'm talking about that on a Katsu channel. But regardless, just keep that in mind as you're going through your games. But I hope everyone enjoyed this. Hope it made sense to y'all. Hopefully it's a little bit more insightful on how to play even bigger than that. It makes a little bit more sense. Let me know what other videos you'd like to see and where you'd like me to go with my content. I'm trying my best to try to improve my quality as much as I can. It's hard out here sometimes, but we're doing our best. But thank you all so much for tuning in to TCG Talk. Hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you all next video.